Welcome to issue 3 of my geekly opinion. My name's Pip, and this week I want to talk about one of my favourite characters, which is DC's The Question. The Question was originally created by Steve Ditko when he was with Charlton Comics after leaving Marvel, and first appeared in Blue Beetle issue 1. Now, the Charlton run was very good. It was a very gritty character. Ditko wrote him as very a black and white vigilante, beating the hell out of people who not necessarily were criminals, but were people who did wrong by society as well as by law. When the character was taken over to DC, along with a number of other Charlton characters, originally they handed the characters over to the wonderful Alan Moore, the big bearded miserable bastard of comics. I say this with love, Alan. And basically he turned around and went, "Oh, I'll kill him." But basically someone at DC went, "Alan, we really like the story, but we paid a lot for these characters. Do you mind not killing them?" So this is how we ended up with the story of Watchmen. The Question was one of the characters that was going to be in that story, and the character was adapted to Rorschach. Of course, many of you probably already know this, but I'm going through everything. So the character was not taken over by Alan Moore. He was instead taken over by, and let me just check my notes here, Dennis O'Neil, who had been a long-time Batman writer. And he loved The Question. He was a big fan of Ditko. So when he took over The Question, he saw a lot of potential in the character, but he also didn't want to write the black and white, very grim way of doing it. So he decided he was going to make a great big change to the character. And part of that character was to add the Eastern philosophy, the Zen of violence, as the run is known as, where basically he goes from the man angry at the world to someone who is focused, does a lot of meditation, yoga, martial arts, all these sorts of things. And the character was turned a lot more from the angry being with no face to being a well-rounded character who fought for the right reasons. Now, of course, the one thing that's been that was a standard that stayed the same was his day-to-day life, which was as Vic Sage, news reporter. So I don't actually have any of the Charlton comics. I'd love to, but I don't have them. As far as I'm aware, he was a newspaper man in the Charlton comics. In the DC, they actually made him a television presenter. It's not great, huge difference. One of the very iconic things about The Question is his look, and it's basically this. As I'm showing you, issue 17, which is one of my favourite issues. He's a faceless being in a suit, trench coat, normally a fedora. That's his iconic look. Now, one of the reasons I love issue 17, as I alluded to earlier, the Rorschach character came from The Question. In issue 17, The Question actually reads Watchmen, and has a little bit of a fascination about Rorschach and if he should be Rorschach. The actual name of the issue is A Dream of Rorschach. Great issue. If you ever get the chance, I strongly suggest reading it. The story is a 3-part story. It starts in issue 16, then goes on to issue 17 and 18. And, well, for one thing, not only does it have that beautiful cameo of Watchmen and Rorschach as The Question, or Question as Rorschach, however you want to go, it also has the first meeting of Green Arrow and The Question. And this is back when Green Arrow was shooting real arrows, not the all-purpose, whatever job needs doing novelty arrows. No, they were still real arrows going through people's skin. Nice violence. Everyone loves a bit of violence. But anyway, I'm digressing here. The character went on to have a very good run with his own book. He also received a number of annuals and a couple of books which were known as The Question Quarterly, 4 comics that came out each year. which contained a full story in them, which was absolutely great. I have a few of them. Still always looking for more though. And then, come around the time of 52, they made the character basically Vic died. Vic Sage died, but in doing so, he handed over the mantle to Renee Montoya. Renee Montoya, a character who was originally created in the Batman animated series as a detective for the Gotham PD. Her own story is an amazing one, which I'm not going to go too far into here. And what I have to say is, since they made Renee Montoya the question, they didn't really utilize it very well. She had a wonderful book, story, which was the Crime Bible. I have the graphic of it, possibly going to be picking up the single issues, and that's a wonderful story. But after that, she really doesn't do much. If you want to know more about the question and not just my own personal love of the character and some of my favorite issues, there is a wonderful documentary called Who is the Question. I strongly recommend you check it out here on YouTube. Failing that, give comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm happy to talk about things you want to talk about, so please do ask me to give my input on anything. With that said, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Strongly recommend you read the question. Cheers and bye.